Hi, I'm Dr. Shawn, the LPC, licensed professional counselor, where we believe it's time to feel, be real, and heal. So I want to talk about boundaries because I see a lot of times we have the boundary conversation over the internet, and boundaries are not expectations. There is a difference. Boundaries are for you, and they are inserted by you. And if you have a boundary, that means that you have found something in your life where you misfunction, dysfunction, but you know you aren't taking care of yourself like you need to. And so, in order to take care of yourself better, you have to put some boundaries in place. You have to do some self work. And so, one of the things you're going to experience when you put boundaries in place is some discomfort and guilt. That's one of the first things that happens because it feels like I'm doing something wrong because you are used to doing these things. So, again, there is a difference between boundaries and expectations. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next thing that typically happens when you begin to enforce boundaries is the people that are closest to you are going to react a little bit different. They may become upset, they may push a little bit harder, they may even call you selfish, but the boundaries will be reflected in the people who are closest to you because they are the closest to you. Again, boundaries and expectations are different. The next thing that I would mention when we're talking about boundaries tend to feel selfish because, in essence, they are about self preservation because there was a time where you were allowing things to be taken from you. So now you are more intentional about not letting that happen. And so when you're inserting your boundaries, you may be saying, I can't do that anymore, or I may need space, or I don't like that, or that doesn't work with me. Again, these are acts of self preservation, not selfishness. As I mentioned, boundaries, if you really are inserting boundaries, not expectations, because there are differences. Boundaries is you realizing what hurts you, what drains you, what you can no longer tolerate. And in order for you to identify that, you need to have done some self work. And even if you know that these things hurt you or poke you or trigger you, you're willing to continue to do the self work to reduce how it makes you feel. Because putting boundaries up doesn't mean that you won't feel them. Sometimes people aren't aware that is a boundary when you're talking about workplace, new relationships. And that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to stop. That's why boundaries is about you doing self work, you recognizing where you need more work done, you saying this can't continue to come into my space, come into my world, and take up my energy, take up my time, take up my identity. Sometimes it's my body, my mental health. Boundaries really are ways to help you heal in relationships that sometimes caused harm or hurt. Healing is possible. Learn a little bit more about boundaries. Even though I'm saying this on the internet, you got to go a little bit deeper and not just take what you see on the web. Feel, be real, and heal.